What's up, y'all? It's Mr. Wilk. I'm back. Today I'm going to be teaching y'all what a squib load is and the dangers of it. And to do that, I'm actually going to show you a squib load. I'm actually going to create a squib load and shoot it and kind of demonstrate that to you. So first off, I just want to say my history of a squib load. I had a squib load happen to me once, but luckily I knew what to look for. And I was able to get the bullet out of the bore before our next shot was fired off. So it was actually my AK, and it was some cheap Tula ammo. The bullet, I had problems with that lot where the bullets were just falling out of the case. And that was probably one of them that went into that chamber. So my friend was actually shooting it. He shot one shot, and then it didn't load the next round. So I was like, okay, let me check it out. I pulled the charging handle back, and I saw powder fall out of the gun. That was my first sign. I was like, okay, so this powder didn't ignite, but my bullet's gone. So I knew that something was wrong. And I took the AK apart, looked down the bore, and next thing you know, I can't see any light down the bore, so I know I had my bullet stuck in the bore. So if my friend had just, tap rack shoot, and he just shot another round through that gun, that would have blown up. So I'm gonna teach you what to look for and demonstrate it so you can actually see. So another thing, I'm gonna be using this. This is Frankfurt Arsenal bullet puller. It's just an inertia bullet puller. You load it in and you smack it on the table and it pulls the bullet. So let's do, well, first let me actually show you what a bullet is, or what a cartridge is made of. So you like my little mini vice grips? So you probably know the bullet is actually this portion right here. The case is the brass portion back here, and you have your primer and your powder inside. So let me go ahead and pull this so I can show you. So here is the bullet. I'm gonna try and prevent the powder from falling out this time. Okay, I still lost some powder. All right, so there's my bullet. This is the part that actually goes flying out of the gun and hits the target. The base is exposed lead, and you have in this case you have a brass jacket. So that's your actual bullet. The rest of it, the case holds your gunpowder inside there. Let me just pour it out here since I have it all over the place anyway. That's your gunpowder. That's your propellant that actually pushes the bullet down the bore. And then finally, down in the bottom there is your primer. You can see on the back there, that's the part that the firing pin hits to ignite the powder. So inside there is a tiny little explosive which ignites the powder that burns. So let me go ahead and get rid of this powder. And let me load up a primer. And I'm gonna fire off a primer, just the primer. I already had one pulled here. Fire off this primer so you can hear and see what this looks like. And I did this before with a 22 because I wanted to show you what you really shouldn't do this, by the way. You force your extractor over the rim. All right. But yeah, I did this before with a rim fire, so I can show you what that looks like. So let me go ahead and turn off the light. Again, don't try this at home. Point it in a safe direction. This is just the primer. This is no propellant. So yeah, this is what actually ignites. This is what starts the explosion, pretty much. So here's what that looks like. And you can see that was pretty loud. No recoil, but there is a lot of power in the primer. And that primer is usually not the primer, but the lack of powder in a cartridge. The lack of powder in a cartridge can be the cause of a squib load. So maybe whoever was loading it, they forgot to put powder in the cartridge, but they have a primer in the cartridge, and that's usually the main culprit of a squib load. It could also be maybe your powder's wet and the primer ignited, and then your powder didn't burn because it was wet. Or it could be like in my case where the whole cartridge was kind of loose. So when the bullet was in the chamber, it probably started going out, left a little bit of space, and the powder didn't ignite because it didn't ignite fully anyway, in my case. So that there's several ways that a squib load can happen. So let me go ahead and show you how this bullet puller works, because I'm going to go ahead and create a squib load now. So in here, there's an empty space for the bullet and the powder to go down in once you actually get it, emptied. And it comes with this collet. You put it in there, load it up in here, and you put the cap on. Make sure it's tight. And it's going to take a couple smacks on the table to get this bullet pulled. So let me go ahead and try this. There we go. You can hear the bullet is free now. And we have our empty case and our powder and bullet. Okay, so let me go off camera right now for a few minutes. I'm going to load this back. I'm going to load the bullet back into the empty case minus the powder. So we're going to have a primer and the bullet minus the powder to create our squib load. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, I'm back. I loaded up the squib load and I put a Sharpie mark on there just so there's no confusion. So I have my intact primer and the bullet set back in, and no powder inside the round. Now, off camera, I did try to pull the Hornady critical duty here, and I failed miserably. I had a feeling that I knew it was going to be hard because they have a candelabra crimp on the, you can't even see it anymore because I ruined it, but there's like a crimp that they put around the case and the bullet so that they don't separate easily, and they definitely don't separate easily. But you can see here how the core is lead, and then you have a copper jacket around it. You got a hollow point filled with a polymer tip. Let me see if I can get that pulled out of there. And the polymer tip is there to help prevent the bullet from being clogged with clothing. Because if you have a hollow point clogged with clothing, it's not going to expand the way you want it to. So if you have it pre-clogged with something that will cause it to expand, that's what Hornady's idea was by putting this polymer in here. And I'm trying to get it out here. I'm not really. This is a testament to Hornady's quality. I also wanted to just show you quickly what you're buying when you buy high quality self-defense ammo. You can see here there's some red there's red sealant around the primer. So what that does is prevent any kind of moisture from getting into the round and causing your powder to get wet, which I said earlier was a main culprit of squib loads, or one of the main culprits. And then on the left here is just your typical range ammo, no nickel plating. This case on the Hornady, by the way, is brass. It's the same stuff as this, but it's plated with nickel to help it give it some lubricity in your gun, and also to help it prevent from getting corrosion. And it looks better. But yeah, the Hornady is nickel plated, sealed primer. You got a crimped case, so you're not going to easily have any bullet setback, or your bullet won't come out easily, things like that. Your typical range ammo, you saw how easily I pulled that out earlier with just my pliers. That's, that's just how it is. You just go to the range, shoot it. It's not going to have any extras like a sealed primer or crimped case, or even sometimes you can get a sealed case where the bullet meets up with the case is they put that sealant around there too sometimes. I'm not sure if Hornady does or not, but I know some other manufacturers do. So let's go ahead into the Squib Load. So this is an actual Squib Load, and I'm going to shoot it right now. So it has no powder in the case. It has a primer and a bullet. Now just a little, let me just go off on a tangent a little bit. If you're a fan of Harry Potter, you probably know that Mr. Filch, the guy with the cat, he was what they call a squib. He was born, well, they say he was born of wizard parents, but he wasn't a wizard himself. That's why you never saw him do magic in the movies or in the books, because he was a squib. That's what they call it. When you're born of wizards, but you didn't get any of the powers like you're supposed to, you're called a squib. Just like this is. It's supposed to be a bullet, supposed to have powder inside it, which gives it the power, but it doesn't. It's a squib. So just a little comparison just so you can get an idea of what the term squib is too. So here we go, loading up our squib, and I'm going to shoot it. And I have a little bit of Kevlar right here. It's not going to go out of the gun, but this is just in case, so I can put it in a safe direction and actually shoot it. So here we go. So you saw a little bit of powder come out of there, you heard a little pop, and you're like, what the hell's wrong with my gun? So where the danger of a Squib Load is not the Squib Load itself. It's when you go ahead and you think, okay, let me just go ahead and rack it and just clear it out. You can see that my bullet is gone now, because the primer itself is enough to get the bullet out of the gun. So you're thinking, okay, my gun just failed to extract. Let me go ahead, tap rack, load up another magazine or whatever, and you go ahead and you put a new round into the chamber. And then when you shoot the second round, you have a bore obstruction in your barrel. So when you shoot that second round, boom, that's where the explosion comes from, because it has no path for the second bullet to go flying out the barrel. It has nowhere else to go, so it's just going to blow up your gun. It's just going to expend the energy wherever it can. So that's the danger of a Squib Load. And let me go ahead and tear this down so I can show you that I have an actual blockage in here. Show you the bore here. So you can see I can't see anything through my bore because I have a bullet lodged in there. And if I take my little cleaning rod, it won't go through. And you can see it's not very far in there, so you may not even be able to load another round, which would be a good thing. I'm not even going to try to demonstrate that because I don't want the chance of this blowing up. But if you're lucky, you won't even be able to chamber another round. But sometimes that bullet can be lodged, like mine is about right here. Sometimes your bullet can be lodged halfway, and if it's halfway, then you can definitely load another round in there, and then you got you got a barrel obstruction and the round getting ready to explode in your gun. So that's what a Squib Load is. Another thing that I can't demonstrate here is sometimes when you go to check your gun, like when you rack that round out like I did earlier, you will see powder fall out. You'll go to rack it and you'll see, like, you know, powder fall in your hand, some unburnt powder, and you're like, okay, something's off. That's what happened to me with my AK. When I racked it, the case came out, no bullet, and I had unburnt powder all over my hands and all over the gun. So that's how I knew something was wrong. But that's what a Squib Load is, y'all. So there are plenty of other videos out there. There are videos of Squib Loads actually going wrong and blowing up in people's faces. Go ahead and check it out. It's plenty of videos out there. A lot of stuff to learn, but I thought I'd show you an actual Squib Load in person and see what it looks and sounds like. So what you saw just now was an actual Squib Load. You just didn't see the result of shooting after a Squib Load. because I don't want to blow up my SIG. So, yeah. But let's get into Guntuber Shoutouts. So, first Guntuber is Classic Firearms. He has some high quality, highly entertaining videos. He's very frequent and consistent with his videos. He also throws in a lot of education with his videos too. You'll learn a lot of the history of like a particular firearm, or you know, he'll just be having fun with his partners too on the show. So yeah, check out Classic Firearms. Links will be in the description. And then you probably know, if you watch GHG Hustle, you probably know of Matt Woulph. He was the guy who was giving GHD a little bit of some training, some actual training. So he was shown in one of GHG's videos. He's another guy who's very consistent. He'll have several videos in a day. Like I don't know how he has the time to do that, but he'll have like 3 or sometimes more videos in one day. And he's growing fast, definitely. So hop on to the Matt Woulph train, I guess, or the Matt Woulph pack, and Classic Firearms. Again, the links will be in the description. And I will see y'all in the next video when I come up with something else to teach y'all about, because that's what I like to do. I like to teach.
Also, y'all, just as another add-on to the Guntuber shoutouts, I want to shout out CRS Firearms. Link will be in the description. He recently put out a video on the same subject about the danger of squib loads and the danger of doing the tap rack shoot. That's not a very safe maneuver unless you absolutely need to. He discusses that. He goes deep into it in a pretty good video. Also, if you can't get around into the chamber, if you have to force it in there, you're probably creating a more dangerous situation, and something is definitely wrong. That's why in the beginning, Eugene Stoner, when he designed the AR-15, he did not have a forward assist on there. That's just what the military wanted. The Air Force was the first branch that decided to use the AR-15, and they were against the forward assist, but, you know, Army wanted to, you know, shove rounds into the chamber if they needed to. If you having to shove a round into the chamber, something is wrong. You could be pushing a bullet into a bore obstruction, and you could be forcing your bullet back into the case and creating a very high pressure situation. So you have a bore obstruction plus a high pressure cartridge at the same time. You're creating a very dangerous situation. That's why my stealth fighter build that I'm working on does not have a forward assist on it. I'm not a big fan. I never had to use it, and if I ever did, something is probably wrong.
Whoa. Yep. All right, that's an example of a squib load. This is why when you're firing handgun or any kind of guns you're shooting hand loads in, or factory ammo, if something doesn't sound right, never tap and rack and keep shooting. Always check the barrel for bore obstructions. If this bullet would have been pushed far enough into the barrel for another chamber or another cartridge to chamber behind it, it could have devastating effects. There you go. So just always listen to your gun. If something doesn't sound right, you need to double check it.
Well, yeah, I better not forget to get this bore obstruction out of my gun. See y'all.